the diesel, I think we touched on that last time. That's done, that particular one now. It's just on charge. This one we picked up yesterday. This is a 2014, I think. Yamaha Grizzly 450. This is pretty tidy bike, good tyres, good plastics really. It's got a couple of faults, one of which was the caliper. They'd worn through the pad and the piston, so the caliper is dead. There goes the 8mm. So now we've had to order a new caliper for that bike. Also, it's had a bit of a bump, a minor bump on this side, and as you can see, it's busted the axle, and they have sort of strengthened this, which does look a bit of a, it's very strong, but a bit of a mess, so I'll either tidy that up or replace it. But it definitely needs a new axle shaft. Other than that, this is a pretty good bike. Painted the racks, it's nice and straight. And over here, so this bike, as you saw last time, was quite stuttery. I did replace the injector on this yesterday, and it's still quite stuttery. So I've ordered a fuel pump for it, and to get the fuel pump off, we need to take the rack off and the rear plastic off, which we'll do today. We'll do that now in a little minute. That's still waiting on a water pump gasket, which should arrive today. So hopefully we may get that done in this video. This one, I took the side cover off yesterday, because as we touched on last time, this one was struggling to start. It wouldn't start on the battery. And even though it had a new starter motor, it's still not turned. So I took this cover off. As you can see, I put it back on with some fresh RTV. And when the cover was off, it would turn over on the starter, but now it's back on, it'll turn clockwise, but will not turn anti-clockwise at all. So there's some other problem with that. So the cover's gonna have to come back off again. I'm suspecting it's the one-way bearing inside here. So you're gonna have to have a look at that. And again, we'll try and do that today. We've got 2 more machines coming very shortly. We've got another Suzuki, and we're supposed to have a mule, which is quite an interesting mule, but I don't think they're going to come in today. Unfortunately, we thought they were. So I think we're going to have to just crack on with working on what we've got, and then we'll do an update, and then the mule will be a couple of 3 days' time and the other bits, so yeah. Right, okay, so we've got the back plastic off, as you can see. This is the fuel pump. It's quite simple to replace. All them bolts need to come out. The fuel line and the power line, obviously. But we haven't actually got the new pump at the moment, so I don't want to take that off and expose it until we're ready to actually physically change it, because I don't want a load of fuel evaporation and stinking the place out, on the chance of anything filthy falling into the tank. The only other thing I'm going to do is the can. We'd obviously need to fix that as the tip has fallen off, needs a new one welded on. So I think we'll take this off at the same time, so we can take it to the welders, because it's a lot easier to get out obviously now. So, but I think we'll leave that for now, because I just wanted to get that exposed, and we'll move on to trying to work out what's wrong with that. Okay, so we've just had a look at that one. I can't see anything obviously wrong in the case, so we're going to park that one for now because it's annoying me a little bit. And we're going to move on to this one. I've had the water pump gasket come, which is here. So just got to clean up the surface and clean up the water pump surface, although the water pump surface is pretty good to be fair. Whack the gasket on and do the reverse of what we did. Timing belt back on, timing belt cover, alternator belt, pulley, and the footwell. So we're going to get on with that now, and we'll catch up in a minute. Right, okay, so we've got all this back together, all well and good, but as you can see, it's still bloody leaking from the water pump. You just can't see it that well now, but it is leaking from the pump. So there must be some sort of hairline fracture or something in it that I did not see. So that's very, very annoying, because that means everything that I've done, I'm going to have to completely do the reverse of. So, unfortunately, not the great update that I hoped for. So, yes, I'll see you again. Right, okay, so this is the diesel we were working on last time. I presume this is going to be a third episode now, so sort of part 3. We put the water pump back on that, but as soon as we put water in, it's bloody leaking again. So it turns out the actual water pump itself is leaking, which is very annoying because I thought it wasn't. That we haven't touched. The blue Kodiak, we did replace the injector in the end after cleaning it. Sort of worked, but didn't work, unfortunately. It was still pretty down on power and a bit sort of breaky uppy. But then I did replace the fuel pump. As you can see, the original one's on the floor over here. And that has solved the problem. The bike now functions completely normally. But I did notice one of the back wheels was on a bit of camber, a bit like that. And what we ended up being is the upper A-arm, somebody had obviously changed the bushes before, but they forgot to replace this bolt here. So as the bike had been driving along, it had been doing that and bent the upper A-arm. So we've got a new second-hand upper A-arm on there now, and the wheelie's now straight. I just need to find some nuts for the bolts that are missing. Over here, the Grizzly 450 we were working on before, now got the new caliper on. And the brakes are bred through and working. Still need the shaft, but we've got that ready to fit now. This is another Grizzly 450, which we picked up today. This has no starter motor on it. For some reason, the starter motor that was on it had cracked, as you can see there. So it's a very strange bit of damage. I'm not sure why it's done that. I think it's probably because it's a very cheap aftermarket starter. But that needs a starter and a solenoid, and who knows what after that. Everything else on the bike's pretty good. The brakes work. Needs a set of tyres on the back, they're very low. But yeah, that bike is up to come basically, or ready to go, or start to be worked on. Out here, we've got something fairly interesting. This is a 2021 Kawasaki Mule diesel. It's a Pro DX Mule, as they call it. This is only, believe it or not, just over 2 years old. But it has led a little bit of a life. As you can see inside, seat cover's quite badly ripped on the base. It's done just over 3,000 hours, so it's done a bit of work. Plenty of this sort of damage around it. You know, sort of broken plastics, etc. But all in all, not too bad, because it's going to be quite cheap when it sells on. Runs and drives perfectly, really. But again, seat cover's pretty ripped on this side. Handbrake is pretty poor, to be honest. So that'll just be adjustment, which is easy enough. Door is missing on this side, but it is in the back here. Although unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be the piece that it sort of latches onto, as you can see on the other side, is missing off this side. It's broke off, so I probably won't be able to do much with the door unless I buy a piece. The windscreen had also fallen out of it. Apparently this happened when the machine was only 2 months old. Thankfully it's safety glass, so it's not too much of a danger, but we've got a new second-hand piece of glass, but all these sort of parts have to come out of it, which is a bit annoying, but you know, something we can do. Otherwise, it's a pretty tidy machine.